Tony, when I think about mitigation strategy and tactics, I think it's important to talk about how to properly vet a carrier. I think it's important to say why it's necessary and important for freight brokers to do that. Things like their liability mitigation and their reputational management. Oftentimes I think freight brokers don't consider the reputational risk um, that follows when they have a theft and they're using a carrier that they haven't properly vetted. It also may violate the shipper terms and the agreements that they entered into with the shipper. And it's just business agility. They've got to be move so quickly with speed. You've just got to be prepared for what could happen down the road. In order to prevent that from happening, we need to properly vet our carriers. So I thought it would be good just to talk about first, why it's critical for freight brokers to and property brokers to vet and reduce their risk.
Yeah, I think the reputational aspect that you mentioned is an important and often overlooked one. It goes beyond sort of the value of the cargo itself, in that people will not want to work with brokers who they know maybe double brokering or brokering to suspicious carriers. So I think the vetting piece can really help with that. The important part of that is to just make it part of your normal business operations. So to make it, whenever you're onboarding a carrier, to actually call, make sure that somebody picks up the phone, ask a few questions to verify sort of their location, who they are, those sorts of things. Checking out information about their FMCSA records, which are not intended to prevent theft, but can provide useful information and signs that a carrier may not be legitimate. And also as well to check out, even on Google Maps, the actual location that the carrier says that they're located. Sometimes we'll see people use abandoned locations, PO boxes, those kinds of things. And all of those can be signs or signals that the carrier may not be legitimate.
Are there offerings with BSI that clients can reach out to you to provide solutions to help them with this vetting process?
Yeah, so BSI, because of our history and standards, we like to take what we call a management systems approach. So it's a kind of holistic approach to managing these types of issues and supply chain security more broadly. So we want to make sure that we have a good policy and procedure in place, that procedure looks at the context of your organization and works with the rest of your business to enhance your business and work as part of your business process. Then make sure that people are properly trained. We found that especially with the cybersecurity elements of this and the cyber crime elements of this, that training can really make a big difference here, and has a lot of bang for buck just in terms of preventing these types of issues. And then making sure that we're measuring over time that this is actually working and measuring adherence to these policies and procedures for everybody involved in the supply chain. So that would typically be our approach, is consulting around building a kind of management system, policy procedures for that, providing the training, and then helping you measure success in that area, so you can advertise that to your customers as well.
Yeah, and I think what's important about this as well is not only to have the process and procedures in place, but ongoing training. I think sometimes clients put a policy and procedure in place and then they forget about the ongoing training or maybe the update to update to the vetting carrier process. And I think it's important that that's something that clients do and review at least on an annual basis. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. We usually say to review policies and procedures on an annual basis or as risks change, right? So that's another thing that BSI offers as well, is cargo theft and supply chain risk intelligence, which can tell you, hey, we're seeing more of these redirection type thefts. They're occurring in different areas. And the speed with which these types of fictitious pickups has been changing has been really incredible. So we're seeing new and different types of theft emerge, on an almost yearly basis, if not more quickly. So we want to make sure that you're keeping up to date on what the latest trends and risks are, and that you're sort of changing your policies or your processes in concert with those changes to make sure that you're keeping up.
Yeah, I think those are important tips for clients. Um, and I think one of the other things too is I look at what customers sometimes do is they when they're looking at a carrier, they sometimes forget how many years of experience has that trucker had. What types of loads have they carried in the past? Sometimes I feel like the load that the property broker has to assign to a carrier doesn't match what that carrier's area of expertise is. Is this what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, sometimes you'll see as well that the types of trucks or number of trucks they say they have doesn't quite add up for the types of loads they're trying to carry. So looking for those kinds of mismatches can be helpful too. I understand that's difficult to do if it's a Friday afternoon, maybe before Labor Day, and you're waiting to quickly get that load out. But we stress that it's really important to actually look at those types of things, possible mismatches or kind of suspicious patterns that could indicate that you're not dealing with a legitimate carrier.
That's great. Thanks, Tony.